What do you think successful authentic relating is? Like, what are some of the attributes of a successful authentic relating connection?
Hmm. Well, one of them like are the opposites of those. So allowing yourself to discover in the moment what's
Mm-hmm.
true for you.
Feel for you.
Even if it means having pauses in conversation, even if it means saying, let me think about that for a second, it's better to slow down than to assume that you're going to have an answer right away,
Mm-hmm.
or tell the same story again and again. Like right now, I don't necessarily know what I'm going to say before it comes out of my mouth,
Mm-hmm.
which on one hand is vulnerable because I'm like, wow, I could just completely lose my train of thought.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it feels like I'm being here with you in response to your questions and in response to like even the affect you're giving to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
with someone else that I'm talking to on a podcast or something, I'm going to interact differently. And
Yeah.
with you, it's really easeful, which I'm appreciating. Um, uh, so that's one of them. Is just like slowing down and
Can't do
taking the
opposites
time.
of the fails though, Sarah.
Shoot. Okay.
Well,
Um,
you can. You can do
Gosh, now I've got to
anything.
think of something
Oh
else.
my goodness. You get no time.
Uh-huh.
What do you think? Not opposites of the. I love that
Non-opposites of
though.
it. Yeah.
Like, what do you think are other things?
How do you succeed at authentic relating?
Be
Allowing
authentic.
yourself to be paradoxical is another one that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to describe this one. Sometimes people seem almost apologetic for changing their mind or having different perspectives or having parts of them in conflict. They're like, I know I should have an answer to this, but, or like, I'm sorry, this is confusing. Um, Things like that, where it's like, no, there's not one authenticity. There's multiple parts of ourself that at any give, I kind of subscribe to the internal family systems view,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like freedom versus safety is a big one that comes up, where it's like when people are looking to change jobs, which I know you're thinking of, there's the one part that's like, wow, I want something dependable. I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to know what's happening on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
There's a grounding in that. And then the other part is like, but I also want to feel passionate about what I do. I want to feel expressed. I want to feel like I'm giving something to the world,
Yeah.
right? And then maybe you have another part that's like purpose driven. Like I want to give something that's really meaningful. And another part that's fun driven. It's like, I just want to really enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And we get very bound up because we're like, I should just have one narrative and make one decision. Our
Yeah.
culture doesn't have a lot of space for not knowing, for exploration, for making mistakes, for changing your mind. But people who assume they should be cohesive seem very in conflict with themselves. And you can kind of feel that bound upness.
Yeah.
And people that are willing to just be like, here are the different parts of me speaking. I don't quite have an answer yet. I'm going to live into it, and share that with others and be willing to. I find that brings a form of authenticity and relatedness that then others really open up as a response. They're like, oh, yeah, I have that too.
Yeah. I'm torn too at times. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pulled in
exactly.
4 quarters.
Here are all the different pieces of me that are struggling right now. So it's
Yeah.
like, and that kind of ties into another piece, which is like just vulnerability of things that are going on with you, things you're scared of, things you're proud of, things you're experiencing right now, things you'd like to experience. That
Mm-hmm.
causes others to open up. When I'm training facilitators, I'm like, in any game, you should be the first to be vulnerable,
Yep.
because the group will go to the depth that you go. You should always do a demonstration of a game. You should always do it ideally from something that's like true in the moment for you then.
Yep.
Or if you've come up with it ahead of time, it should be something that like really feels true for you, even if you haven't figured it out yet, especially if you haven't figured it out yet.
Let them see the messiness of that.
Right. And it should be adapted to the group you're working with. If you're
Right.
working with a company, use a professional example,
Right.
whatever it is, but like, let yourself set that standard even if you're in the front of the room.
I love that. And I use that in the improv facilitation when I go in there, when I participate or demonstrate, I make sure I'm huge
Mm-hmm.
so that it sets this bar way high so that anybody can, express.
Right.
Below that, they can come up to me, they can go past me, but I'm at least creating a huge room, a huge area for everybody to make silly sounds or make silly noises or gestures or movements,
Mm-hmm.
because we got this kind of gregarious, wild Tasmanian devil that like says, okay, well, if that's the normal of the facilitator, then that leaves a lot of opportunity for
Right.
me to be anything that I want.
It's another reason why, as a facilitator or a teacher or whatever, it can be valuable to demonstrate different ways of doing something, where you can be like, okay, I'm going to demonstrate. Like, for instance, if we're doing a vulnerability focused exercise, generally speaking, we want to give people a couple different options. We want to be like, okay, if you want to do the spicy version of this, you could like talk about your childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And you might even give like a little example of that. If you want to do the intermediate version of this, say it's a curiosity game is an example I'm giving. Like you could ask questions about like, what is a traumatic experience you had in childhood? What's your relationship to sexuality?
Mm-hmm.
How did your parents fail you? If you're doing an intermediate version, you could be like, what are you passionate about? What is your home life like? What is something that you've always wanted to do and haven't gotten a chance?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do a mild version of it, you might be like, what is it that you do for a living? Um,
Yeah.
where do you live and how do you feel about it? So that I'm giving examples in that. So it's not quite like the vulnerability of demonstration, but I'm giving people enough ideas that they can play at their own level and they
Yeah.
can bounce off of it. Because if you give both like this is what it looks like as fully expressed, which is great in
And
improv.
you all have to do it.
Exactly, but you
Yeah.
can
It's like,
also be like, okay, like, but this is the version of it where like I'm also expressing,
yeah.
but I'm doing it in like a way that feels true to me. So
True
like
to me.
find your
Yep.
whenever we teach trainings, we always have multiple leads. And I oftentimes choose leads that I have a hard time with or whose styles are really different than mine because I want people to have multiple examples. When
Yeah.
I got my training, um, I mostly got it from individuals, or like there was usually a hierarchy where one person had a very strong personality. And I, especially when I initially got trained in circling, I really, really struggled because the style I saw was not my style. I couldn't emulate it, and I didn't do the practice for months and months afterwards because I felt so ashamed at not being able to replicate that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to happen for my students.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I thought of was you can you can be expressive with low volume. Like there's oftentimes people think intensity is volume,
Yeah.
but you can be really expressive and really intense at a low volume. You can also be really, you know, the opposite of that is true. Although it's probably a little bit harder. I tried to think, how would I do that?
Not expressive at high
Be be
volume.
really high volume but small in what you're doing. I guess it could be really bland, but
I mean,
there's
even by,
this giving this level
mm-hmm.
of what you share and how. And then I love this like different versions of it because people aren't going to resonate with every style. So
Yeah.
you want a bunch of options for people to pick from.
I think the main thing as a teacher is trying your best not to make people feel wrong about the way they are
Yep.
and finding the value in the thing they do. I think oftentimes art teachers, when they're good, have the
Yeah.
the kind of most characteristic experience of that is like the way somebody draws, start from that. Figure out how to turn that into something really special instead of teaching one way to draw. It's the same with learning and facilitation. Is like if you can bring out people's superpowers or name what they're doing that's valuable, even have them teach it to others, they all of a sudden feel like they can turn that into something really beautiful.
You love what is, even if there's aspects of it that could benefit from feedback.
Yeah. And there are some things where it's like, okay, what you're doing is like maybe you should use some correction with it, or like let me at least reflect the impact that it
That's the
has on
feedback,
me.
but you can find something positive in it to
Exactly.
start, because to influence, you have to connect.
Yeah.
First, there's got to be some engagement or some like trust
Yeah,
that
you
comes
have to
through I
appreciate
see
what is.
you, and then there's some opportunities.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Like if I have really soft spoken facilitators, I'm like, that can be a superpower. People have to lean in when you speak if you
Yeah.
really own it instead of apologizing for it,
Yeah.
which I guess is another piece of like doing authentic relating, right? Is like try not to apologize for who you are.
Yeah.
there's going to be somebody that gets along with it. It's the facilitator's job to find a way of accepting it and normalizing it for the group, ideally, or finding a way of talking to you one-on-one and saying, hey, you can choose your behavior, but here's the impact it's having on other people, which we don't usually get told. We just get told you should change that.
Yeah, we want to know the impact. Or the impact is I believe that most things with regard to personal growth, personal development, begin with awareness,
Mm-hmm.
an increase in awareness, whether it's looking in or looking out. And so having that level of what's the impact of this? And oftentimes just the impact alone, if provided in a safe way, or not safe is kind of a charged word in this area, in a,
Consensual way, maybe. It's
yeah,
like,
and where they're not out to get you, the
yeah.
person's not giving it for their own agenda, or they're not trying to hurt. The changing can occur, much
Mm-hmm.
like if you touch a stove, like the feedback is immediate, it's hot. The hot stove isn't out to get you, and you're
Right.
going to just not touch that stove again.
Yeah.
So getting that feedback immediate, getting that impact of your actions it can be informative.
Yeah, my husband makes a distinction I really love. He sometimes does feedback trainings for companies, and he makes a distinction between appreciation, evaluation, and coaching, that they're three different things.
Appreciation, evaluation, and coaching.
Yeah, it's really nice, like, when we give feedback to our co-facilitators, I oftentimes try to, like, distinguish those three things. Like, here's
Okay.
what I loved about what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Evaluation is, like, basically, like, here's how I felt about it. Here's how it landed. Here's the effect I saw on the rest of the people here.
That's evaluative.
Yeah, it's like that's evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then coaching is like, here's something you could try.
Try some
Here's what
things.
I would have preferred. Here's an idea, whatever it is. We usually like mix up evaluation and coaching, or skip evaluation entirely. We're just like, here's what I loved. Here's what I think you should do.
It's the hamburger.
Mm-hmm.
It's the love coaching, love
Love
sandwich.
coaching.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, the reason that I think you should change this is that I saw a bunch of people in the room crossing their arms and looking away when you were explaining all of the instructions for the game before playing them.
That's all about having a lot of detail and having a lot of specificity in the feedback that you're giving, which is like,
Mm-hmm.
I observed this. I get back to this MVC thing. I don't know why I'm on a Marshall Rosenberg thing today, but
Because NVC is amazing.
I love
It's like
I
one of
love
the
Marshall
best
Rosenberg.
tools. Yeah.
I found one. I'll digress for a moment. We have one MVC teacher in all of Texas, lives in Brenham, and I've been talking to her about coming and doing the show, and I'm trying to find 12 people or maybe 15 people that she could do a workshop with, so that when she comes, she has a little bit more incentive to come.
Oh,
But I
that's
have had
fun.
I posted on Facebook and no one responded, and I felt like,
Huh.
does no one love MVC anymore? Like, what's up?
I know some local groups who do it. I'm trying to remember the name of the
Well, there used to be
organizers.
David and
Yeah, David and
she
Ellen or
moved
something.
back. She moved back to Europe. I don't
Oh,
think she's here anymore. And I don't know if David's doing it anymore. But I digressed, and now I forgot where I was. But oh yeah,
evaluation. Yeah.
specificity when you're doing these types of things. You can say observation without judgment. I noticed when you said this, the people in the audience did this, and I think that detail can really empower the feedback. It can empower the coaching, because they're like, well, you have eyes that saw things that I didn't see,
Yeah.
and it's a lot better than good job, dude, or whatever,
Yeah.
or I liked what you did there. And it's like, well, what exactly did you like? There's nothing I can take away from that kind of dull feedback.
Yeah. And I will say that I personally am really prone to coaching without evaluations. This is a skill that I'm constantly
You do it.
oh yeah, I can be really bad about it,
Hmm.
especially when I like feel a little bit contracted and I'm like, oh no, like, this facilitator did something wrong and they like harmed the class. It's like very rare that there's actually harm done. And
Yeah.
even if there is, it's like you're not always going to change people, like you said at the beginning, by giving them advice. Like they have to oftentimes come up with their own solutions. And people usually care if you give them impact. If you're like, hey, when you said that, I felt really hurt. I felt betrayed. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like my heart sunk a little bit.
Yeah.
They care about that way more than if you say, hey, you shouldn't say things like that.
Yeah, they're like, "Well, dude, I don't want people to feel that way. I
Mhm.
don't want that type of impact on the people that I share space with." So oftentimes that's the coaching.
Yeah.
Just well, you can give a couple strategies. I imagine they could be helpful too, but they're probably going to be sitting in that for
Yeah.
a minute of like, I've had a bunch of failures, me personally, and sometimes the failures can be deafening.
Yeah.
Just sitting in the impact of them, but that in that deafness, in that failure is the learning, the lesson, the tool, the
Yeah.
gift.
I think the best way to approach it is like as a scientist as well, which
Hmm.
is like if you get feedback, if you can like teach yourself to treat it as data instead of a commentary on you
Yeah,
and be like, well,
yeah,
what specifically did I do that caused that moment? Hey, are there other people that felt the same way? Are there other people that felt differently? Like,
yeah.
especially for facilitators, we get lots and lots of mirrors, and we have to be able to check it instead of getting devastated at every piece of feedback.
Right. They all can't strum the chord of our self-limiting beliefs.
Right. And so you have to start, even when you get appreciation, start asking, well, like, what
Is that
specifically did you
valid? Yeah,
appreciate?
yeah.
You
Or
know?
is it just that I'm the one standing up here teaching the class?
Right. What should
Or
I do more of? What should I do less of?
yeah,
Do other people feel that same way? Is this just my way of being or my superpower? Am I not great at it, but I can find someone else who is?
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.